Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today's topic is central post-stroke pain, right? And just a reminder, we are doing neurology में pathology wala section. Okay, so let's get just started. Okay, so what is central post-stroke pain? So in this, basically, it's a neuropathic pain due to thalamic lesions, right? The lesion is in the thalami, and patient is having initial paresthesias, that is pins and needle sensation. उसके बाद उसको क्या होता है, followed by allodynia and dysesthesias. So what is allodynia? This is basically there is painless stimuli, right? Simple painless stimuli, they also cause pain, right? Usually it doesn't occur, right? Painless stimuli doesn't cause pain, but in this patient it causes pain, right? Along with that, there is dysesthesia. What is that? There's altered sensation, right? And that is also true on the contralateral side, and only 10% of the stroke patients get this type of pain, which is the post stroke pain, central one. Okay, then comes the phantom limb pain. Okay, what is that? The sensation of a pain in a limb that is no longer present. So a patient has got amputation, and after that there is a pain occurring on a structure that is not no longer present, right? That is associated with reorganization of primary somatosensory cortex. And what happens is there is burning, aching, and electric shock like pain the patient is experiencing, right? Next comes diffuse axonal injury. So there is white matter involvement. This is important, right? So in diffuse axonal injury, traumatic shearing of the white matter occurs, and that results in devastating neurological injury. MRI shows multiple lesions like punctate hemorrhages, which you need to remember for your board exams. Next comes the aphasia, right? This is a very high yield topic, right? So aphasia is a high order language deficits, that is inability to understand, produce, or use the language appropriately. And why it occurs? Basically the left hemisphere, left cerebral hemisphere, that is the dominant one. When the pathology occurs in that, the patient experiences aphasia. And what is dysarthria? That is motor inability to produce speech, right? It is a movement deficit. So we have got four types of aphasia, which you need to remember. They are very important. So Broca's aphasia, that is also called as expressive or non-fluent aphasia. Okay? Basically comes in MCQ paper के what is non-fluent one. अच्छा, so it is Broca's. Also that in the inferior frontal gyrus, सबसे पहले बात याद रखनी है कि frontal lobe में frontal gyrus के inferior वाले part में होता है, ठीक है, associated with the defective language production. So because of which patient appears frustrated. Okay, so broken face, you need to remember like this. Okay, next comes Wernicke's or receptive aphasia. This is a fluent one. The patient is normal in speaking, but whatever he speaks, that is nonsense. You are unable to understand what he's speaking, so comprehension is not there. He cannot comprehend whatever he's speaking. And the location is the temporal lobe. Temporal lobe mein there is superior temporal gyrus. In the previous one it was frontal lobe ka frontal gyrus, but the inferior one, right, is made a superior temporal gyrus. Okay, you need to remember this. So the next one is conduction. Conduction aphasias is that when there is damage to the arcuate fasciculus, and the global aphasias is when both of these things are present. Broca's plus Wernicke's, it constitutes a global aphasia. Okay. So the next one is aneurysm. Okay, so aneurysm, we have basically secular aneurysms. What are those? Aneurysms are basically simple abnormal dilatation of an artery due to the vessel wall weakness, right? So this secular aneurysm is also called as Berry's aneurysm. It occurs at bifurcations of the circle of Willis. I've already taught you this topic of circle of Willis. So at the bifurcation, that is the common site, and among them also the most common site is between the junction of anterior communicating artery and anterior cerebral artery. Okay, and what are the associations of Berry's aneurysm? It is associated with ADPKD, that is adult polycystic kidney disease, plus Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and other risk factors include advanced age, hypertension, tobacco smoking. Okay, and the clinically it is silent, or until the complication occurs, and the most common complication occurs is the rupture of it, that is causing subarachnoid hemorrhage. I've already told you this. The patient says that it's the worst headache of my life, and it is a thunderclap headache. So you need to remember this most common complication. Okay, it can lead to even focal neurological deficit. Maybe he says that my one of the arm is not even functioning, it's complete weakness in it, right? And also causes symptoms via direct compression of the surrounding structures, right, by the growth of aneurysm, obviously. Then if for example anterior communicating artery compression occurs, then what it leads to, there is optic chiasma present, So that will lead to the compression of which leads to bitemporal hemianopia. You need to remember this, right? And that then there will be also the contralateral lower extremity weakness. MCA, when the middle cerebral artery rupture occurs, then there will be ischemia in its distribution, which leads. I've already taught you in the previous lectures that middle cerebral artery is the one which basically is dealing with upper extremity plus lower face, right? So contralateral upper extremity and lower facial hemiparesis occurs plus sensory deficits. Also, the posterior communicating artery, when is compressed, what happens is the posterior communicating artery is related to the cranial nerve number 3 palsy of the same side ipsilaterally. And what is cranial nerve number 3? The oculomotor nerve, which is responsible for the supply of the oculomotor muscle of the eyes and responsible for doing okay. So when its palsy occurs, then this is mydriasis occurs, right? The pupil will be dilated, there will be ptosis, and the eye would be down and out. So whenever this happen, this comes in MCQ, that the patient's eye is having ptosis, right? Mydriasis, that is the pupil is dilated and also the eye is down and out, the gazes are down and out. So it is always the palsy of cranial nerve number 3. So this is a very high yield MCQ, and it is related with the posterior communicating artery ka rupture in case of barrier aneurysm. Okay, then there is one topic or a simple thing, which is the Charcot Bouchard microaneurysm. Also, I've told you this thing in the previous lecture. It's a common one. It's associated with chronic hypertension, right? It affects small vessels like lenticular striate arteries in the basal ganglia or the thalami, and also can cause even hemorrhage in the intraparenchymal strokes. Not visible on angiography, right? So this is a small topic. Next one is fever versus heat stroke. Okay, so you need to always differentiate between fever and heat stroke. So in case of fever, there is cytokine activation during inflammation, right? Cytokine activation during inflammation, and but in case of heat stroke, the body is unable to dissipate that heat, right? There's excessive heat production, but the body is unable to dissipate that, right? And the temperature wise, the fever is, we know that it's less than 40 degrees centigrade or 104 degree Fahrenheit. But if the fever goes above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, then it's heat stroke. Okay, and the cause is febrile seizure, right? So it causes fever. More fever can lead to febrile seizures, right? The patient can get fits, but they're usually benign and self-limiting. While in this case, CNS dysfunctioning can occur, even confusion, rhabdomyolysis, acute kidney injury, ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation. These all things can even occur with heat stroke, right? So it's a very dangerous thing. We can subside fever by giving acetaminophen or ibuprofen. These are simple painkillers for comfort, and even if indicated, antibiotic can be started. But in case of heat stroke, rapid external cooling, rehydration, and electrolyte correction is to be done. So the next topic is seizures, right? So what are seizures? These are basically synchronized in high frequency. You need to remember these two things, and these are neuronal firing, right? Focal seizures and generalized seizures. So what happens in focal seizures? It affects only single area of the brain. Okay, as the name indicates, focal. And the most commonly कहाँ से originate होते हैं? From the medial temporal lobe, right? And there are two types of it: focal aware and focal impaired awareness, right? So aware means that the person it is simple partial. ठीक है? Focal aware is simple partial seizures, and aware means that the patient is conscious and alert, right? Consciousness is intact, and it could be motor, sensory, autonomic, or psychic. While focal impaired awareness, as the name indicates, that the person has impaired consciousness, and it is complex partial seizures, right? Okay, then the thing that how do you define epilepsy? It is a disorder of recurrent, unprovoked seizures, right? Epilepsy is if they are uncontrollable and occurring recurrent, then they are called as epilepsy. And febrile seizures are not epilepsy, right? Status epilepticus, it is basically when there is this is an emergency situation in which there's continuous like more than or equal to 5 minutes duration of seizures, or recurring seizures without interictal return to baseline consciousness that may result in brain injury, right? So this is status epilepticus, and it is an emergency situation. You need to handle it as soon as possible. What are the causes of seizures by age wise? So if the children less than 18 years of age, the causes could be genetic, though febrile infections, trauma, congenital, or metabolic even. While adults of between age 18 and 65, the causes could be tumor, trauma, stroke, and even infections. In adults of more than 65 years of age, stroke is common. Baki वही tumor, trauma, metabolic or infection, right? Now, what is generalized seizures? Like not involving only single area of the body, but the whole body. So it's diffuse, also called as diffuse. So the types are absent seizures, petit mal also called. So what? Acha, first of all, the names only: absence or petit mal seizures, myoclonic, tonic-clonic, tonic, and atonic. Okay. So absence or petit mal seizures, the discharges are of spike and wave of 3 hertz, right? 3 hertz spike and wave discharges. They are usually short and usually of 10 seconds and frequent episodes of blank stare. No post-ictal confusion is there. It can be triggered by hyperventilation. So a scenario comes that the teacher complains of a student that he just stares and he just gets blank for a while, like usually 10 seconds, and then return to its normal activity. And what is that? That is absent seizures, right? And after he returns to its normal activity, he does not have any confusion. Post-ictal confusion is absent, right? And the other one is myoclonic, as the name indicates, muscles. So quick repetitive jerks of muscles and no loss of consciousness. While in tonic-clonic, that is grand mal. Tonic-clonic means grand mal. Alternating stiffness and movement is there. Also post-ictal confusion is there, and urinary incontinence and tongue biting is also there. And this is the most common type. Then comes only tonic. One is stiffening, and atonic means then there is no stiffening, but the patient is just on the ground. He just falls to the floor and drops seizures, and it commonly mistaken for fainting, right? So this is basically a flow chart which is summarizing the types of seizures. A focal seizure and generalized. In focal, we have one with impaired conscious focal aware and focal impaired awareness, right? In generalized, we have all these types which I already have told you, right? So you need to remember these things like this. They are very important in for MCQ wise, right? You can have a close look of generalized seizures. This tonic, clonic, or grand mal, which is very common and important, alternating stiffness and movement. Only tonic is stiffening. Myoclonic is involving muscles and quick and repetitive jerks, like shown. Atonic is drop seizures, like the patient is just like dropped on the floor. Absent seizures is paracetamol, and there's just blank stare, no post-ictal confusion. Right, happens in school-going children, and usually complained by teachers. Right. So this was the topic of seizures. I hope you've learned a lot from it. And in the next video, we'll cover headache, types of headache, and much more. Okay, stay tuned. Till then, Allah Hafiz.